Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Wednesday morning, and of course, as usual, rough voice. I don't know why this happens. I think I've got a clue though, and I hope to take care of it this week. So we don't have to go through this every time because I never used to do this. Anyway, today we're going to continue on with the spiritual principles of wealth. So last week we were looking at forgiveness. This week, we're going to look at the number 2 item, which is goal setting. There are 4. I have quite a lot written about goal setting, and most of you, I am sure, have read books, have read things, understand a lot about what works and what doesn't. But I want to go over a few things. And it's not like I want to read it all, but I have some. First of all, goals are important. Now, why are they important? And there's an example here I'm going to say. I've just got to figure out where I've got it. Oh, yeah. I had a client, and I could see when I was reading for her that she had no direction at all, no goals. And I said to her, "What are your goals? And where do you want to go?" And she replied, in all sincerity, "God knows." And I replied, "How?" And she could not answer. God knows by our thoughts, and I'm going to say our prayers or our direction of how we do that. There's many different ways of praying and saying, hey, this is what I want. Basically, our thoughts create our vibration. And I know I go on a lot about that, but I have proven that to myself over and over again. When I get lazy, when I don't do the work, when I kind of sit back on you might say the glory side. And then all of a sudden you look around and go, why aren't things working? And it's because we're not clear. We're not being succinct in our thinking. We're not really putting them into action. What have I got here? We are sending thoughts out into the universe all the time. And I'm going to use the word God. And God answers these thoughts. God is a loving energy, just like an indulgent mother or father. This energy of love will give you anything you want. There is no discrimination or judgment. And that's the one thing many of us grew up with is judgment. And we judge or we think, oh, that's not good enough, or, I'm not going to get that or whatever. Now, if you have thoughts of pain, lack, and disappointment, that's what you get. Pain, lack, and disappointment. If they have rewards, you will get rewards. Therefore, if you want peace, joy, and love, you get peace, joy, and love. I used to always wake up every morning and raise my thoughts, I call them above, and say good morning, and that, good things are going to come from me, and like go from me and come from me to me. For many, many, many years I did that. Then, I forgot. I got not well, things happened, and then I began to not do that. And guess what? The vibration of my life began to go down. So it's very important to sometimes keep with the habits that you create that bring you satisfaction, joy, your goals, etc. Your goals are your contemplated aspirations. Remember that. These things you want to see in your life, those things you want to create. And by goal setting, by that pattern that you have here, you're telling God, this is what I want. This is what I want brought to me. Therefore, it's important to know what you want and write them out. When you write out your goals, you are putting them into a physical form. I wrote in here, it was not in the book, but I wrote as I was rereading this, remember to be grateful. The power of thank you. And I have that somewhere else, maybe in another book, actually. When they show up, be very grateful. Say thank you. An example I used a lot when I was talking and teaching about goal setting was this. Would you go into a restaurant and say, bring me whatever? Usually, we order very specifically what we want. Therefore, when you're putting our order into the kitchen of life, we need to be specific or be satisfied with what is dealt up. And I have had this experience. It's taught me a lot, actually. When I was working with those psychic ESP fairs and producing them, there was a big group of us, and we would be staying in different motels and doing our different for the weekend, and then we'd move on to the next city after that. And I remember the first time this happened, and it was the first time. It wasn't the only time. A group of us was sitting at the table, and we were talking, and a waitress came up to one of the girls, and she just turned and looked and said, "Bring me whatever." I couldn't believe it at all. I couldn't believe that she would say that. Food arrived. She sat down. She ate it. She didn't, whatever they brought was fine. And a lot of us live like that, is that we don't realize it's like, bring me whatever, but not everybody said. Now, I've run into that 2 or 3 times since, when someone sat down, looked at the waitress, said, bring me whatever. But it's how the example for me was the very first time, and the other 2 times, maybe 3 times I've run into it, is that everyone was very happy with what showed up. Everybody was happy. Well, the person that got the food was very happy, yes. But most of us have dreams of what we want to create. Now, I use New Year's and again around my birthday, which is in July, so it's pretty well in the middle of the year, where I take a look at goals. Must admit, I got a little sidetracked the last couple of years with all this illness stuff, but I feel like I'm getting back on track now. Now, so you need to be the navigator of your life. Very often what we feel like is that we're just reacting to whatever's happening. And in a way, yes, many of us do that. We react to what's going on, but we also have the ability to be able to create. We were given that. All of us were given that ability. Now, when I was figuring out the statement of letting go, it was called Let Go and Let God. It was like letting go. I came to understand letting go and letting God was setting my goals and then letting go of trying to figure out how to get them. I let God bring me the steps I needed to take to achieve them. My job, my part of the partnership, is to know the end result is there and take the steps as they arrive. Now, just listen to this. Our job is to know that what it is that you are asking for is in process. It's not our job to figure out how it's going to show up. And that's why I believe in miracles, because I know what I want. Haven't got an idea how that's going to happen. How is that going to show up? Guess what? It does. And you have to be ready. You have to be ready to move into that, whatever it is, and accept that, and where you go. I think we all feel like we need to know where we're going, what we want, where we're heading. But it's like being flexible for what is actually brought to you, I think. I have a tendency to scatter my energies. Over the years, I found that out. And that I found by being more aware of my goals, I was able to reach them with ease because they're in my mind. They're not like I was like, oh my God, that's my goal. But it was like they're set up. That's why those 2 times are really important, kind of taking a look. Have I achieved this yet? Is it being aware? Was there a block? And one of the first things I really teach, I teach what I call the first step principle. And that is, know your end result and ask yourself, what is the first step? Sometimes the first step is picking up the phone. Sometimes the first step is writing something, a note or something, or arranging an appointment. Once you're clear on your goal, what is the first step? And remembering that the universe is working for that for you, not to get yourself all too confluted into it. Now, goals are things, situations, and or feelings you want to have happen. This is another big one I found out. Goals will not happen unless you decide they are in your future reality. The decision point, it's another thing I talk a lot about actually for clients, and that is the decision point. What are you deciding for yourself? I find very often we don't really utilize that as much as we could. What do we decide? When I found out I had this melanoma cancer, and it was like I decided, well, we have to do what we have to do to clear that, which was some surgery, some radiation, and this treatment. Well, then I got tired of the treatment, so I kept saying to my doctor, how much longer? When do I stop doing this? And his responses weren't what I really wanted to hear. To make a long story short, now this is where it's interesting. For those of you who've been following what I say often, this is where it's interesting. I began to exhibit one of the side effects of the immunology, I say it incorrectly sometimes, was that I started creating this itching, and it got worse every month, worse and worse and worse. And I was saying to my doctor, what do you do about this itching? And there was no answer. And to make a long story short, the last visit I had with him, he told me I was grumpy, and I never used to be grumpy. And I'm still going on, well, how long are we going to do this? And he said, well, we'll make this month the last one for now. And then I do have another big test coming up. I think it's in February. No, I don't have a date yet. But what I'm saying is that I wanted out of this consistence. I felt that I was feeling rotten. I wasn't feeling good. And then, as you know, because I did, if you watch the different shows, someone came along and said, here, try this. And in 2 days, the massive itching that was driving me insane for 3 months was gone. Oh yeah, I have a little bit still here and there because I have sores and I have a few things left over from all what was going on. But at the main time, it was like, you let go. I just wanted out of that program and get back on with my life. And I have been feeling more like myself, and that's nice. Energy is not 100% yet, but it's coming. I'm getting more. Now I've got to just deal with some other stuff, but I guess when you get older, things crop up, but you don't have when you're younger. So again, because this is one of my biggest things, let go and let God. You make your idea and you decide. The key is decision. You decide this is what I want and you let it go. And then you allow it to come in so you don't overthink it. And the key is just to know it will be there. Don't know when, don't know where, but it is. And I have found that has worked very, very well. The idea again, know your end result and what's your first step. What is my first step? Sometimes, as I said, it can be a phone call or whatever. Another element that's very important is your desire, want, or your goal. Place it in a knowing. In other words, it will be. When you know in your body, your gut, you're going to receive the goal, it is only a matter of time before it arrives. Therefore, when you have written your goals, go over them. Check inside yourself to ensure you have decided your goal is definitely going to be in the future. Does it feel real to you? Very often people pick goals, but they don't feel real. Like they don't feel they happen because their mind's in there saying, but how's this going to happen? How am I going to get this or that or the other? I've had some pretty miraculous, as I've said many times, miraculous things happen. Something I wanted, and there was like no way, visible way, and all of a sudden there it was. Would come into my life. Now, I'm just going to tell you an experience I had up in the Rocky Mountains. I went to this workshop with Mark Victor Hansen, who's one of the co-authors of the Chicken Soup series. And he was doing this goal setting, achieving it. It was a little bit broader than that, but that was part of it. And he taught that you needed to have 101 goals at any one time. He suggests you take your 10 top goals, write them on a separate piece of paper, then wrap them in a $100 bill and put them in your wallet. I did not do that. He points out the subconscious is large and needs a lot to work on, and each goal has a different gestation period, some only a few hours, while others are like the elephant and need 2 years. If you do not have a $100 bill, begin with 5. The point is to begin. I don't remember doing that, but that was a lot of years ago. I took that course. He used to at that time have a course every New Year's Day, every New Year's in Hawaii. I did not go to that. I used to be much more impatient with life, wanting what I wanted now. In other words, I want this, and where is it? Kind of thing. And I used to get upset when I did not get what I wanted immediately. I was young, let's put it that way. Through time, the advantage of age, I found my goals have arrived at the correct and appropriate time. I have come to trust universal timing. I have learned to have faith. I have learned to trust in the divine power to bring me what I want. Now, sometimes what I want doesn't show up in the package that I imagined. Sometimes it's different. But I have learned that if I go through the steps that I have learned in creating the goals and putting the goals down, I found that I've got, I've achieved them. I've got them. They've showed up. And sometimes I've had to do a little adjustment because the goal doesn't look how I imagined, but it's still the goal. And so it's really about becoming used to how things have worked. Now, what I have in my little booklet here is a big sheet where, goal sheet it's called. Then you write down what you want for yourself personally, a relationship, a holiday, weight loss. Or the next one is career work. Do you want a promotion, a new job, a higher salary? Then there's material. What do you want in material? A new car, house, and clothes. And then spiritual. You need spiritual goals as well. Patience, feeling more connected, meditation, whatever it is that you achieve. I found that was incredibly helpful for me when I would do this. Remember, twice a year, I would take a look at my goals, what had come in, what was still working. And I would go over my sheet and I would add new ones or take out other ones off as I would make a new sheet up. But to have them individualized, not just a glump. This is what I want. This is my personal goals. This is my career goals. This is my material goals. What do I want? Always, you need to have those as well. And most importantly, what was my spiritual goals? And then there is a section for other. What else is there that doesn't fit into the other specific categories? Then when you look at all your goals, then you take your top 3. And I have a visualization about this, and I'm going to lead you through the visualization in just a moment. So if you do have some goals, and you can always replay this and to re-listen again. So visualization is an important part of creating goals. The subconscious mind works well with pictures. Whenever you visualize, especially in a reality space, your subconscious will act upon it quickly. A visualization to be shown what your first step for any goal is. So what I always do is take top 3. We're just going to work. One. You just take one, and then this is how I work with. I don't have any music playing, but you can, just when you're doing meditation, you have a nice music playing. I didn't think of that this morning. I'm just going to have a little sip of water, get my mouth going, because I drop into a different feeling when I'm leading meditations. So you have 3 goals. Take your top 3 goals that you really, really want. Imagine yourself sitting in a chair, a very comfortable chair where you are totally relaxed. Imagine your first goal. See yourself there. Feel how it feels to have achieved this goal. Breathe into it. Ask yourself, what is the first step I need to take? And allow the answer to come into your mind. Put that goal aside and take goal number 2. Again, imagine yourself achieving that goal. See yourself there. Feel how it feels to achieve it. Breathe into it. Ask yourself, what is the first step I need to take? When you know what your first step is, put the goal aside and take goal number 3. Again, imagine yourself achieving this goal. See yourself there. Feel how it feels to achieve it. Breathe into it. Ask yourself, what is the first step I need to take? When you know what your first step is, put the goal aside and now take all 3 goals and look at them. Check to see if you need to change the order. Often we think our goal is the end result when it is a step towards another goal. Look at the 3 goals. Feel how it feels to achieve them. Know the goals are yours and commit to do the first step. Remember, each step you take becomes the first step, so you never need to worry about the next step. You just take them one at a time. Just take a deep breath and just think about your goals. As you're moving forward in your life, it's time to be clear about what you want and to go for it. By doing the above exercise, you will stay clear and move yourself into a knowing place. Relax, sit back, and watch your goals come into being. One more thing. In her books, Catherine Ponder writes about treasure maps, a collage of pictures and words. For many years at New Year's, I would do collage workshops. People would bring in a big piece of paper, and we would have magazines everywhere, and they would cut out what they wanted. And they would paste on this big, a big sheet of paper or a small one, whatever, made of what you wanted to create in your life. I have found that these are fun to create. It really brings me into focus, and I'm often surprised as to how much I have created from them. Several years ago, I was attending a workshop in which we needed to do a collage the Saturday night before returning to the Sunday morning. I had 3 magazines in the house and some ledger-sized paper. From these, I created one which contains some words and pictures. Across the top, I said, I want it all now. A year later, I brought the collage out to show a class how a treasure map can look and realized I had obtained most of what was on it, and it felt exciting. Many people walk around with a small book which fits into their purse or bag, and inside it they may have their treasure map pictures. So whenever they have a spare moment, they sit and look at the pictures, reinforcing the subconscious with what they want. The subconscious reads pictures. So your treasure maps are another exciting way you can have moving. What have I got here? Another exciting way you have of moving what you want into your life. One of the most important aspects of goal setting is to have fun and dream big. A lot of people begin goal setting and they get kind of tired of it. But actually, we're goal setting every day because we're thinking. Thoughts are real. Thoughts go out as a vibration. Thoughts are there, and they do come back towards us. And the key here is to remember that you need to be clear at some point of time what specifically you want. And again, as I said, that you hand it over and let the universe work its magic, because it is magical. I've had many things happen, as I said, that are miracles, because I had the idea, the picture of what I wanted didn't seem viable, and yet people, situations, all happened, and there I was to remember exactly what it is. Now, that was number 2 of the elements of how we work. We've talked about forgiveness, the forgiveness river, and now more practical, the figuring out of letting go and letting God, to know your end result and ask yourself, what's the first step? I find many people that I've worked with over the years can tell me what they want, and I'll say, well, what's your first step? And they don't know, haven't got a clue. Where sometimes it was just a matter of picking up the phone and making an appointment. Maybe today, maybe more like it, go online and find out more information. There's lots of things going to be a first step, but once that step is done, the next step is also like a first step. So you learn to know when to make a move or when not to, as you learn to listen. You learn to know. And also you'll say, we may have, like Mark Victor Hansen had, 101 goals, but you pick your top 3 and you work with those until they're achieved. And that may change. You may be working on a goal and realize, this is not really what I want. Or in that little visualization, you realize goal A is really the first step of goal C. So it's very much of becoming aware, excuse me, where your energy is going, how you're bringing it out, and what you're doing. And this coming into a new year, a number 9 year, personal year, actually. And the year itself is a number 9, which is the completion of 9-year cycle. It's a good time to take a review of where you are and where you want to be. Have you achieved what you wanted? Are you where you want to be in all areas of your life? Is this area, often people have this part of their life working, but not that part. So maybe that part needs a little bit more attention. So the thing to mostly, and this is why it's called, my little booklet's called Spiritual Principles of Wealth, is the philosophy that you're not alone. The philosophy of whatever you want to name that wonderful, loving force out there. In the book, I use God because it's mostly understood what that represents, that being that is more than us. And allowing yourself to dream and to go forward and create how you want your life to be. I have done so much in my life as I look back. And there was one thing I really wanted to say, because I want to reinforce, is that what I have came to understand as I went through the many things, my life wasn't easy at times, it really wasn't. But I learned so that people who came to see me, I would understand. I would say, why do I have to go through this? I wonder, why isn't it easy? Why can't I just be there? But if I hadn't gone through some of the loopholes, if I hadn't run into some of the emotional elements I had to meet and deal with, I wouldn't be able to help people because I wouldn't understand. Coming to understand life as part of it. Now, not everybody has to come to understand like I did, because I was dealing with people, lots of people. And I learned humility. I learned to recognize that just because a person doesn't get it doesn't mean that they won't. I learned a great many things. And these 4 principles that I have in this little booklet, which is forgiveness. We've done. Now we're doing goal setting. And then the two that often people don't understand at all is tithing, which is giving, and divine purpose. So there's still 2 more weeks to go on things. But goal setting, there's a lot more information. I do want to say, if you would like to receive a PDF copy of this so you can run it off, get in contact with me through my web page, normacowie.com, and I'll be very happy to send you this copy of this little booklet that I wrote, a lot of years ago now. Wishing you well today, wishing you great. And Caleb, always nice to see you here. Thank you. And Yvonne, same thing. Thank you. And I'm glad you felt it was good information. I believe it is, because I used to teach this all the time to my students, and a little bits and pieces to clients. And then I created the booklet, and the people I gave away more than I would sell, believe me. But it was like, that's not the important thing. It was important to get the information into people's hands. Some people chose to work with it. Some people chose not to. But when you're talking about a divine spirit, when you're talking about an energy that's out there, and yes, we talk about the subconscious mind, and yet, but this loving force that I keep going on about, which thank goodness, thank God maybe, thank everything, my goals, that I ran into fairly early in my experiences, and always knew it was there. And even though I got off on tangents, like everybody does, I always knew that energy was there, and I would come back to it. And I'd come back to a lot of things I learned in this 9 months of personal growth course I took. I kept coming back to a lot of the basics, and then I added all sorts of other things with it. Life is an adventure, but you're not alone with it. There is an energy there that works with you, but it's like, you got to work with it. It doesn't sit down and say, oh, that's a nice person down here. Here, we'll give them. That may happen, but most of us have just got to get a handle on our thinking process, get a handle in our subconscious minds, and move ourselves into where we want to be. And when life gets big, sometimes we forget. Oh, I certainly did. And then something would happen, and it was, oh, I'm not practicing what I know. I'm not being who I am. Let's move back. So I'm very happy at this moment to be coming back into form, which I really like. It's like 2 years. Thank you. That's enough of that. But we want to move on in health and wellness and enjoyment and love and light. I wish everybody a great, great day. And I will be back Sunday, probably with a little bit of add-on to this today. We'll see. Every day is different, and who knows what will come up and grab my attention. But thank you. You have a great week. It's wonderful, and blessings to everybody. Bye now.